When I first started homeschooling, I thought all of these things were so much more important than they actually are. But after 10 years of homeschooling, I've learned to really sort out the things that matter and the things that really don't matter. And if I could go back and rewind the clock to when I was a new homeschool mom, these are the things that I would tell myself to completely stop worrying about. The first thing is knowing everyone's learning style. Now, I'm not saying that that's not important or helpful because, yes, knowing your child's learning style can be very helpful on your journey, especially when you start picking out homeschool curriculum. If you can kind of figure out the way that your child learns best, then it really does kind of help you sort out what curriculum might work and what might not work, or what might cause a problem later on. But here's the kicker. We don't give our kids enough credit for adapting, okay? When you think about the way that a public school is set up, you have one curriculum for the entire classroom, and everybody has to mold to that curriculum, and most of your kids in that classroom are going to adapt to that curriculum because kids are flexible and they just adapt to their surroundings and things like that pretty easily. When you first start homeschooling, there's a good chance you're probably not going to know your child's learning style. Most of us don't. That's okay. The only way we really know is to just get curriculum and figure it out on the way. That's how most of us figure it out. That's how I figured it out. I didn't even know really that learning your child's best learning style was a helpful tool. It's kind of one of those things that I just learned as I started homeschooling. This is such a big one, but finishing the curriculum by the end of the year. So many people are very shocked when I tell them that most public school teachers never finish a curriculum. They just don't. You never get to that point at the end of the year. And even as a student in public school, I don't ever actually remember finishing a textbook. As long as you get to a certain point, like the 75% mark, usually you can consider that done in public school. In homeschooling, it is not absolutely essential that you finish a book from page 1 to the last page. If you do most of the work in the book, usually it's finished. Now, typically, I do end up finishing because I make sure that we do everything by our state standards. So we have 180 school days and so many hours. And I've actually, it's March now. We've actually finished 4 of our subjects. We're finishing the 4th one this week, which is crazy. I think this is the earliest we've ever finished a curriculum, but hey, here we are, I don't really mind. I have things, extra to add into the school year for this type of situation. But if I don't completely finish it and there's a couple lessons left, I'm not going to sweat it. Another point is your homeschool setup. I probably way overthought that at the beginning. I know I did. I'm trying to hide some of my public embarrassment here, but yeah. I worried way too much about what my homeschool room looked like when it really wasn't a big deal. I did not need all the posters on the wall. This was a long time ago, okay, before there were a whole lot of homeschooling channels, so I didn't know what I was doing. So basically, I was just taking everything that I learned from the public setting into the class, into my home setting, and a lot of that just doesn't mesh well, and I ended up making my entire kitchen look like a kindergarten classroom. It's okay, we figured it out, but I really didn't need to do that. It was really unnecessary, and once I really got a grip on things, I was able to go forward and we worked it out. But I spent way too much time and money worrying about all of that. So many people are probably going to laugh at me. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for you to laugh with and sometimes at. I started homeschooling before it was cool, and I was really worried one of my neighbors was going to call the police on me. Yes, I was. I was actually really worried about that. I was kind of scared to go out in the middle of the day, like when all the rest of the kids were at school. We lived on a military base, and if you've ever lived on a military base or know anything about base housing, you know how nosy the wives are. Like, it's just a thing. It's military base culture. Okay, I can't explain it. But yes, everybody knows everybody's business, especially back then. And yeah, I was really worried that like I was gonna get like DCF called on me or something, and you know, I was gonna have people show up at my door and it was gonna be a thing. And yeah, so go ahead and laugh at me, because yeah, I really worried about that. And I would say this, I didn't deal with this a whole lot, but I know a lot of you guys deal with this, and I'm gonna throw this in there. Keeping up with other homeschoolers. Even if you don't know any homeschoolers, we have the internet, and the internet is full of homeschoolers now. The rate of homeschoolers when I started homeschooling versus now is humongous. I mean, there's just so many of us now. But when I started out, there wasn't that many, and I really didn't have a whole lot of people to look at for where I should be, and I didn't actually know anybody else in my life who homeschooled. So I was like this little lone wolf out there. But now there's so many people to compare yourself to, and I would really just implore you, do not look at everybody else and compare your homeschool to them, because those are completely different children in a completely different setting. Your children are unique to you, and they have their own needs, and they have their own family, and everything is completely different. And homeschooling is an individualized education rather than a whole, like a public school setting would be. So don't compare your children to anybody else's children, even mine. So that's really, it's hard. I understand. It's like the need to compare is really hard. And I still find myself kind of doing that sometimes. I have to stop myself and say, hey, my kid is not this kid. It's a completely different situation. We have no idea what their situation is or where they're at academically versus my child. So just remember, if you see yourself doing that, stop, take a breath, and back away from the social media. So this is my list of things that if I could go back and tell 2015 Mandy anything, this is what I would tell her. This is what I would tell her to stop worrying about, stop stressing out about, stop spending so much money on some silly homeschool room that I'm not gonna have for at least a couple of years. So that is exactly what I would tell her, and to probably just give her a cup of tea and tell her to simmer down a little bit. What matters most is so much more simpler than the things that we put all this pressure on ourselves about. So relax, read a book with your kids, and enjoy the little years. That's really what I would tell myself. My more experienced homeschool moms, what are the things that you worried about? Tell me down below, especially if they're embarrassing, to relieve some of my embarrassment that I just put in this video. Tell me something that you worried about. I would love to know. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy homeschooling.